Hello and welcome. I'm Kasha and this is a session about beginner yoga. The kind of things that you might expect when you come to a class, and we'll cover a few things that you would come across if you come to a class often called a Hatha yoga class. We'll do some poses, a little bit of breathing technique and a wee meditation as well. So give you a little bit of a taste of what you might expect when you come to class. So a few things to think about would include what you're wearing. T-shirt's a good idea, obviously it depends on your climate, but the most important thing is something that you're comfortable to move in, that's not restrictive. And consider also in yoga, unless it's chair yoga, often you end up on the floor lying down with your legs in the air at times, so trousers or shorts are a good idea as well. Most important is that you're comfortable. And then thinking about what you'll be lying on. It depends a bit on what kind of floor it is. If it's a slippery floor, you want some kind of a sticky mat or something that'll hold you steady. This floor isn't sticky, but it is quite hard. So I've got a couple of layers. I've got a kind of sticky mat underneath this cotton mat. I prefer that surface underneath my feet. So some of it's a matter of choice, and there are heaps of different kinds of mats. Don't get too worried about it to begin with, so long as there's enough padding underneath you on the floor when you're sitting and lying, and that you're not going to be sliding around when you come into the standing poses. Cool. Alright, what else? Oh, seated pose. Blankets and cushions. Actually, let's do the sitting setup now. You can see at the moment I'm sitting on quite a big cushion there. That might feel too uncomfortable for some people, so we'll pop that out of the way. That might work for you. Or a blanket or a folded towel. So probably two would be a bit much for me today. I'm just going to try putting one underneath me. Now not everyone's going to feel comfortable sitting cross-legged, right? So you can kneel. If you're still feeling really uncomfortable or a little bit of pain in your back, find somewhere in the room, perhaps you can lean against the wall with your legs out. Or if anything you're doing is too painful, just let it go. It might be better for you to lie down and do some of the breathing or seated exercises rather than insisting on sitting up and hurting yourself. So a few variations on how you might cross your legs. We won't do anything fancy, just sit where you can feel your knees aren't higher than your hips. So often, especially if you're beginning, people feel quite tight and they might sit down and look something like this. So the more things you put underneath your hips gives your hips a bit of space and allows your knees to come down. If you still find that's not happening, take one of those other options and come to your seated position. You can join me now if you want. So that feels about right for me today. Some days you might want a bit more padding than others, huh? Alright, the most important thing with the upright position, apart from the pain, no pain, is that you can feel a pretty long spine and a nice open chest. You can get some good breath work in. Cool. Now one more thing to consider before you start a class is to talk to the person leading the class. Now you can't talk to me right now, but some of you might have already sent me messages. But if you're going to join a class somewhere, it's a really good idea to go a little early and talk to the person doing the class beforehand. Let them know about any health conditions you have or any concerns you have. They can help you with adjustments for poses or making them feel a little bit more right for your body. If you're not able to do that, always keep in mind that this is your class and it's really important that you feel safe. So when you're learning, you're not so sure about some of the poses, so it's totally fine to skip them or just sit back and watch. Whether you're doing this class with me now or if you're in a centre somewhere else, okay? So remember that the class is for you. So if it feels right for you to either go at a different place, to change it, or just to let it go, then that's totally fine. It's really important to look after yourself. Alright, let's come to a little bit of quiet space. So sitting in the position you've chosen and just kind of wiggle your bottom around now. You might have noticed if you were still looking at the screen, I already closed my eyes. And you're welcome to do that as well if you like. Feel your eyelids touch. Okay, so let's try and draw our awareness right into where we are right now. So you can feel the shape your legs are in. Maybe your feet or your knees are on the floor or your bottom. Just feel which parts of you are touching the ground or the cushion. And let your legs sink in a little bit deeper. And from that nice settled place, your legs and your bottom, feel a lift up through your spine. A bit of a lift up through the top of your head. Now, if you're completely new at this, you might be thinking, no, it's going too slow, or I can't slow my mind down. That's completely normal. Completely normal. And often, maybe in yoga we're talking about things like trying to step into your feeling and your being self, stepping away from your thinking mind for a while. Try and feel right into the present moment. And that can take a bit of practice and patience with yourself. So don't worry if you're feeling like you can't do it, just by recognizing that you're here and you're having a go is doing it. And the rest will fall into place with time. Alright, so we are right here, right now, sitting down. We're going to focus on the feeling of the breath coming in and out through our nostrils. So most yogic breaths are in and out through your nostrils. If you've got a blocked nose, make sure you just keep breathing, that's pretty fundamental. And even just by giving our breath a little bit of awareness, for many people, that's a good start on getting things to slow down a bit. It's pretty common for us to have quite shallow breath during the day. So could you feel like you could take a slightly bigger breath than what you normally do during the day? How does that go? And do that again. And just keep doing it. So breathing perhaps a little bit slower than you normally do, in and out through your nostrils. Perhaps as you're doing that, you can allow a little bit of softness around your belly and your ribs, and allow those parts of your body to move as you breathe. You might like to imagine you're breathing in just like you fill up a glass from the bottom up. So your belly's the bottom of the glass. So as you breathe in, you expand that lower area, breathe in more right up into the chest, and then exhale, emptying the glass or emptying yourself of air. Breathe in, feel the belly swell a bit, feel your chest swell, and breathe out, letting it go. Do that a couple more times. If that's too slow or fast for you, just breathe at your own pace. Well done. So often that's called a yogic breath, or a nice sense of fullness of breath, allowing some softness in around your belly and filling yourself from your bottom up. That might feel a bit counterintuitive to begin with, so just relax with it, keep breathing, and remember, in and out through your nose, and perhaps a little bit slower than you normally do, and it'll come with time. Alright? So let's do a little bit of movement now. I'm going to straighten my legs out in front of me, and I imagine they're going to disappear off the video. That wasn't very good planning, wasn't it? So I'll bend my knees so perhaps you can see my feet. So sit wherever you're comfortable. You might put your hands behind you, and we'll just swirl the ankles round a bit. You can do it with straight legs because you don't need to see your own feet, right? Oh, I could be a genius and sit side on. How's that? Okay. So a little bit of movement down your ankles. And let's try and feel the movement in your ankles. And then try the other direction. And then take a nice good conscious breath in. And give that a little bit of a shake out. Nice work. Okay, so bending the knees in a little bit now. Put your hands on your shins so you can sit up nice and tall. Feel like you can lift your chest a little bit further almost towards your knees. Draw the shoulders back and open the throat and chest a bit. And then exhales, curl into yourself a little bit, kind of slump back. Let's try that one again, sitting up nice and tall. And take it back. Now remember, I'm not there with you in person to talk through all the different options. And there's always going to be something that some people can't do, whether it's an issue with your knees or your back or you're just not feeling it today. You just leave things out or watch, and that is completely fine. So these are nice little curves for the back. If you're feeling that's going well, you could try and bring in a little bit of breath work or change your arm position. Inhale, sitting up tall. Exhale, taking it back. One more time only. And sitting back. Nice one, okay. Come back to sitting. If you remembered how you were sitting cross-legged, maybe pop the other leg in front. I think that was right, huh? Alright, so let's come into doing a couple of shoulder rolls now. You're sitting your spine nice and tall again, and roll your shoulders around. Just big enough that you feel a nice bit of movement in your shoulders, and often I'll suggest during a session that you try and feel things. If it feels alright for you while you're doing that, you might want to close your eyes. Sometimes that can help us feel inside a little bit more. And change direction, so take your shoulders back, up, forward and down. So you're trying to just kind of smooth things out a little bit in your shoulders. As you remember, come back to a nice good conscious breath in and out, and let your shoulders now just melt down. Feel your shoulders settle into place. Okay, one more set of body circles or joint circles. Let's try your wrists. So bring your hands up, start with little fists and just start circling your wrists around. You might notice one feels a little bit stiffer than the other. That's the case for me today. Let's change the direction. Let's do these next ones with your fingers spread out and see how that feels, getting a slightly different shape going on. There's a few poses you'll come across in yoga where you put some weight on your hands. So that's a good place for us to start here with moving your wrists around to warm up in there a little bit to begin with. Okay, so bring your hands together here in front of your chest space and just take your elbows out. Now, if you feel you can only go that far, when we come to do anything on your hands where your hands are under your shoulders and you need more of an angle there, it's okay to have your hands further out or put something like a blanket underneath your hands so you can keep a longer angle and more support for the wrist. Okay, so let's come now onto our knees and we'll try out one of those kneeling poses. So move your props as you need. And if as you come to this you're already going, no I can't kneel, just stay sitting on your bottom and make a similar shape with your body, or put something nice and juicy underneath your knees, okay? Alright, hands are under your shoulders, knees are under your hips, and we are on all fours. How's that going for your wrists? So other options here might be on your fists, or use an extra prop for underneath your hands to lift the wrist up a little bit, okay? But make sure you don't insist if it's feeling painful. Alright, so giving this one a go. This is called the cat and the cow pose. So watch if you want first, head down, bottom down, and you arch the back. Okay, now just stay there for a bit. That is called, choking on my necklace, that is called the cat pose. So imagine you're a cat just had a nap and you're coming into a nice stretch there. Good work, and then slow and steady come back to flat, and we'll try the opposite, which is called the cow. So tilt your tips, draw your chest forward, shoulders back, face forward, spine broad and across the chest here. Feel quite steady on your hands pushing into the floor, knees under your hips. Okay, so that's the cow pose. Now we'll try moving between them. So move into the cat pose and we'll just keep moving. Once you get there, you can bring yourself back up into the cow pose. So it's got quite a lot of lovely spine movement in this one. We'll just do that 2 more times. Keep your fingers pressing into the floor. Inhale as you come up, if that feels okay. And an exhale as you go down. Good work. So when we're on our hands here, often we're working with really big widespread fingers like stars to help spread the weight. Let's try and go back now towards a pose called the child. So sinking your bottom back towards your heels. Don't worry if you can't sit down, you might end up back here, that's fine. And coming down with your head towards the floor. So if you need support here, maybe hands under your head. You can also put your blanket underneath, whoops, your heels and your bottom. You might be doing something like this. There's many options for arms here. The main thing when you're learning is just to feel that you've got enough support and that your shoulders can relax. And see if you can stay there for a couple of breaths, yeah? This is often used as a rest pose in between other poses. So coming into relative stillness there as you try and sink into the pose and take this shape. Come back to feeling your breath again. Often coming back to sensing the movement of your breath in your body is a good way to help bring your awareness back to feeling and being in the present moment. So let's do one more breath down here in the pose of the child. And then we're going to come on up to standing, so nothing fancy about it today. Just get rid of your props, make sure you've got a clear space around you, and come on up to standing. Alright, let's come into a pose we call the mountain pose. So have a look down at your feet and take them about hip width apart. You feel your feet are kind of underneath your hips, nice and steady on your feet, and then bringing your head back up looking forward. Gently roll the shoulders back and down. It's just a basic standing pose, often called the mountain. Now I'm using mostly the simple English words for today. You don't have to know the Sanskrit words or even remember all the English words either. Just getting a sense of the basic shape. So this is a nice, solid, tall, standing pose, strong and steady like a mountain. Sometimes we do it with the arms by the side. You might also like to try bringing your hands together, nestled in the middle of your chest. And you just feel your chest lift right up nice and tall. Hands in front of the chest here is a nice good centering and grounding place. Can you feel the weight in the front of your feet as well as at the back? So in the front and the back. And notice if you feel perhaps you're leaning into one leg more than the other. See what it'll take to even you up and stand pretty tall and steady. Well done. Okay, there's the mountain. So let your hands go gently down. Bring your feet together now so the balls of the feet are touching. Spread your toes a bit. And we're going to move into a pose called the tree pose, which is basically standing on one leg. So if we stand more into the left foot, feel like you're pushing more into the left foot and lighten up the right one and lift your heel. How does that feel? So let's have the ball of the right foot on the floor. Now if that feels okay, turn the knee out and the foot out, or the whole leg actually out a little bit, and let the heel press into your leg. And if that's still feeling okay, you could bring the sole of that right foot up onto the inside of the left leg. And if that feels too wobbly, just put the leg down. If you've got really big challenge with your balance today, you can stand next to a wall, maybe standing beside it, or a chair or something to help you out. Otherwise, just lower your foot as you need. Balance is something that you can keep working on at any age. It's a little bit incorporated into your day, and you should start to see improvements. The toes of my left foot are spread and that foot is pushing into the floor as I stand up nice and tall. Let's try again, hands in front of your chest into that basic position. Lifting the body tall, strong and steady. So most of the poses in yoga, there are many different variations. Between types of yoga and between different teachers, they might be taught differently. And there's also different variations depending on maybe how long you've been practicing, or in this one, for example, how your balance is today. You might be bringing your leg a bit further up. Again, just really come back to what the essence of a pose is. This one is about trying to balance. You're not trying to make a perfect shape, because there is no perfect. Just feel yourself steady as you can on that one leg. And to help with balance, eyes still on one spot is a really good idea. Okay, can you finish this pose off with a nice good conscious breath? And then just pop that foot back down onto the other leg now. Can you think what might be next? Is that we need to do the other leg, so you're not just balancing on one leg. Often one will be better than the other. So either keeping the ball of the foot down there, maybe turn it out, and feeling that foot push into the leg as well as the leg push into the foot, so they push together. Perhaps you come up a little bit more, perhaps not. Just see what works for you. That allows you to still be nice and tall. So you've got the shoulders down. And notice I tend to have a habit of when the shoulders tense up a little bit, so reminding myself more than anything to let them go. And let's try again, hands in front of the heart space. I think I'm wobbling a little bit more on this leg. Feel my ankle working strong. Keeping the body tall and the breath nice and smooth. Just a little bit longer here. Now you notice too while you're learning, there is a lot of me talking and you listening, as there's a lot of different poses and things to take on board. Let's come out of this pose. That all will come a little bit easier with time, and you can switch at least from the thinking and trying to understand the basics and the mechanics of the pose into being able to be in the pose and feel yourself there, which is a lovely experience. Okay, let's come down to the floor now. So that was just the two poses we'll try today. Come down onto your knees, just take your time, and I'm going to lie down on my belly. I'll just go this way round. In a pose, we'll do the pose called the cobra. So come down onto your elbows. This is where it's a good idea to have something nice and soft underneath you, yeah? And let's start with our feet hip width apart. I won't go through all the different variations of your foot and leg positions and so on, but just find somewhere where you can be steady. Just watch if you need. Alright, so hands, let's go with them just in front of your shoulders. Shoulders snuggled into the body, forehead down. And then slowly peel your shoulders off the ground, feel the head coming off. And a baby cobra might be there for you today. See if you can hold that for a little bit. And then slowly going back down. And then slowly coming up. Feet are pushing down, hips are steady on the floor. Perhaps you can come a little bit further, and slowly come back down. And see if you can do that a few more times. Now it's not going to happen overnight, but your back is all of a sudden going to feel like you can come up more. But just sense that you've got the control in the back. Try not to shrug up the shoulders. And when we do the next one, let's see if we can hold for a mo. So roll the shoulders back and just pause here. So if you feel your shoulders are becoming earrings, Better to have them back down as shoulders. Tuck your elbows in, almost roll them back a bit and try and open your chest. If it feels really good for you to go a little bit further up, have a go. If you need to come down, do so. And then slowly back into the floor. Turn your head to one side and take a little rest. Soften your back now. Let's bring the arms forward a little bit. Ooh, might want to mush your hips side to side on the floor. Maybe lifting the feet off and gently wave them side to side. Just to give the back a little bit of relief. Nice one. So that's called a cobra or baby cobra. Really important that you don't kind of push and yank your spine into a shape that it doesn't want to go into. So just go where it feels okay for you, alright? So we're going to come back to kneeling now. This can be a bit of a challenge. So bring your forearms underneath you, really strong through your middle, so feel you tuck your belly in towards your back, and then push yourself off. Or you could roll over to your side and roll up is fine as well. Okay, kneeling. We're nearly done with these poses we're exploring today, so if you can kneel, otherwise sit on your blanket or whatever you've got there today. Try and, once again in this shape, have a nice upright spine. Alright, let's try a side bend. So stretch your right arm up in the air, take the left hand to the floor, keeping nice and long on the right side of your body, and lean over a little bit. Just feel that opening down the right side of your body. If your arm is a bit sticky there or doesn't want to go there, maybe bring the arm out of the picture or just take it down and then have another go. Arm towards the ear, and really focus here on what you're feeling in that right side of your rib cage. Can you feel it expand and open as you breathe in? And breathe out. One more time. Good work. Okay, slowly come out of that side. Well done. Just let your spine resettle and your shoulders sink back down again. And when you're ready, join me on the other side. Just explore a bit of length in that side of the body. A bit of a bend over to the side. Again, take it a little bit further or even less, whatever works for you to get some sense of length and opening down the left side of your body. Close your eyes if you want and tune in to feeling that right side of your ribs move and breathe. Good work. Just noticing how far you feel that kind of stretch on that side. Maybe it goes down to your hip or up and behind your ear. Everyone will be a bit different, just sense for yourself. And slowly come on back. Fabulous. Okay, come to sitting with your legs in front. As I've worked out now, I'll go side on. Alright, so sit with your feet about hip width apart, just nice and steady here. Very simple way to fold forward and get a bit of opening through the back. So maybe your arms will be on your thighs, they might be on your shins, and you could also be sitting on your blanket or your cushion if you need, alright? And then just let the head come forward. You feel the weight of your body here is nice and steady and supported so you can sink in. And see if you can slow down your breath there a bit more. You might be feeling that one, just kind of get a bit of release and opening in your back. If it's feeling okay and you want to try a bit in the legs as well, if you're not feeling it there already, perhaps straighten the legs out a little bit, that might be enough. If you can get straight legs, then that's fine, go for it. For many people, again, having one of our little props here underneath the back of your thighs can just stop you from going too far. That feels pretty good for me. Whack. So imagine your heels are going slightly forward, just enough to feel a bit of length in the back of the legs, and that your bottom bones, or your sitting bones, are tipped to go backwards a little bit. There we are, got that. So go further into it if you're not feeling any sense of opening there through the back of the legs and the back of the body. or sit up a little bit more if you're feeling this is too much for you, and just see if you can hold it for a couple of breaths. And because I'm explaining today quite a few different variations of things, for some people it'll be a little bit too much to hold in the poses that long, so just come out as you need, right? Hopefully I'm getting through the message that I'm going to try and adjust your yoga to feel good for you. Okay, so this forward folding pose. And I think that is a fabulous place to now roll down onto our back and come into a pose called the resting pose, sometimes also called the corpse pose. Actually, let's keep this nearby because it can be really good underneath the back of your thighs. Something like that, actually, even better, make a roll. Now if you get tightness in your low back and you know that lying flat on your back is just not going to work for you, you can pop your calves up on a chair or the couch or something, your legs up the wall, or you can just stay lying on your back with your legs bent because that'll give you the support. If you just need a little bit of support, something like a towel on the back of your legs is a good idea. Okay, so feet a bit wider than your hips, and then we shall roll down onto our back. I'm just going to move that down. Tuck the shoulders underneath, arms off the side of the body. Option to close your eyes and let the floor hold the weight of your body. It might sound a bit silly because it's pretty obvious because you're on the floor, but to really consciously feel that you don't need to hold yourself up anymore can really help you relax a little bit more. If that feels okay for your back, you can straighten your legs out. Let the feet just flop out. Feel the head settle heavy into the floor, and we'll take a little rest time here. This is the rest pose. Allow your belly to soften and let it rise and fall as you breathe. I find sometimes just putting one hand on my puppy bear can really help tune into that sense of that nice soft flow, a bit like you're in a lullaby. Having your hand there also helps encourage nice, relaxed, deep breathing. Not deep breathing as in really full, strong breathing, but deep as in it's coming deep into your torso towards your belly. You've allowed softness there. And this helps send the message to your mind and body through this nice, soft belly breathing that it's time to relax. So I shall attempt to be quiet for a little bit. Noticing how that's feeling for you right now, how the relaxing thing is going for you. If you asked yourself to relax and sink a little bit more, see what happens. Discovered why some people say the final pose in yoga is their favourite, this resting pose. We're going to slowly make our way out of this now. So gently move your fingers and toes. stretching your arms out and your legs out. And we'll just gently bend the knees if they're not already and roll over to one side. Pause for a moment and slowly bring yourself on back up to sitting and sit back up on your prop again. Now, sometimes Shavasana is the Sanskrit word, that final rest pose is used as the final part of class, and you might either finish on the floor or come up to sitting. Sometimes that resting is to get you into a nice calm space before we then do a little breathing exercise and maybe a meditation to end the class. So that's what we'll try out today, alright? So we're going to do an exercise with the breathing called the square breath. It just helps us lengthen things out and slow down a little bit more. So at the start of the class we were breathing in to a count of about a 3, 2, 1 as the breath climbs up, and exhale 3, 2 and 1 as you empty out again. Yeah? This time we'll add a little pause in between the inhale and the exhale. So imagining the shape of the square, you inhale, hold, exhale and hold. Okay, so we'll have a go with that together. I'll count you through. Again, if it's too slow for you or just feels a bit weird or wrong, just let it go, listen in, and maybe you can have a go later. Alright, I'm going to close my eyes, see how that feels for you. Let your arms relax, shoulders settled into place. Feel your chest is pretty open, allowing your ribs to move as you breathe. Alright. So we'll do 2 rounds just without the holds to begin with, hey, just to get going. So exhale first, then breathe in 3, 2, 1, breathing out 3, 2, 1, breathing in 3, 2, 1, breathing out 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we'll add the holds on the next rounds. Please note if that ever makes you feel uncomfortable, particularly if you've got issues with your blood pressure, just to keep the breath flowing rather than adding the holds. And don't ever do it so you feel like you're gasping for air. We'll keep it pretty gentle today. Alright? Exhaling first. Breathing in to start 3, 2, 1. Hold it in for 3, 2, 1. Breathe out 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath out 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 3, 2, 1. And hold 3, 2, 1. Emptying 3, 2, 1. Hold yourself empty 3, 2, 1. Breathing in, fill yourself up, see if you can do the counting. Holding it. Exhale to empty, keep counting for yourself, it's really useful to stay on track. And holding the breath out. And now do a couple of rounds completely on your own, starting with the inhale, off you go. Count for yourself and carry on. Try and stay with it, working around the square. Your mind's probably going to wander off if it hasn't already. Just bring yourself back around the square and keep going. So if you're just starting a breath now, make that your last one. If you're already going, just finish off where you're up to, no hurry. Just let yourself finish off around the square. And as you end with that final hold on the exhale, then let your breath come back to its own natural rhythm. And just observe the breath now finding its own groove. So let go of the holds, let go of counting, noticing the feeling of the breath now as you get out of the way of trying to move it and just let it settle. After observing and focusing on your breath now, let's observe where your mind goes or where your awareness goes. Just let it be free and go along for the ride. You might notice a sound, a sensation in the body, or a particular thought. Your awareness be free to move around and see if you can observe where it goes. If you catch yourself wandering off in thought rather than just observing the thoughts, that's a good thing. Just come back to observing again rather than thinking. You're practicing being the witness of your awareness, the thoughts, like you're watching clouds pass across the sky. There might be thousands of clouds, there might be none. No right or wrong. Just see if you can observe for a teeny bit longer. Let's bring your awareness back now, back into feeling your breath. So feel it in your nostrils. Pull your awareness back in and focus it on feeling the air coming into the body, the breath going out. And then bring your awareness down through your nose, or in your nose, down through your throat. Feel the breath in your throat space. And slide your awareness down a little bit deeper into the middle of your chest. Just observing any sensations at all there, no right or wrong. Awareness there in the center of your chest. Let's gather our hands together, pressing your palms together in front of your chest. Just bow your head down. You're taking a little peek into your heart space there to finish off. Just notice how you're feeling right now. A little well done, and thanks to yourself for having a go. This might have been your first experience of trying out some yoga. Neat to have you along today. And from that heart space of yours, as well as giving yourself a thanks, a moment of gratitude, take an opportunity here to send a moment's gratitude out into the world. So send your awareness outwards. Anything at all, any tiny little thing you've noticed in your day you want Just send out a moment's gratitude. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining in, practicing some yoga today. Hope to practice with you again sometime. Have a beautiful day.